Hello and welcome to Flory Models live show. Here we are with you 7:30 on the 2nd of July 2020 after another fun day. Andy's been up a pole being a Sky installer. Oh, hello. What's happened there? Where's John gone?
Oh,
John.
It's rude to think collapsed on him.
Hold on. See if John pops back. Where's John gone? Literally, we just do that and he just disappears off. Look, that's going to really ruin my setup now.
Yeah.
Where's he gone? He's
Yeah,
had enough and
back
bailed. Charming. Right, okay, hold on everyone, just a second. Hold on, if this is where John says I can't be asked. Right, hold on, let me just see what he's just put up.
I've got to breathe in now. He's gone on to that shot.
Oh, internet's just dropped out. Oh, look, he's gone. Hold on. Right, hold on. Hold this space, everyone. I'm going to have to try and fiddle something now. Technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. Honestly, we've lost one, as in Matt's decided to go down with COVID. And
I think he's got
right.
COVID 8.5, hasn't he?
He has. He's got like 8.5. Well, look, you might. I was going to put. We need a hold screen, don't we, with some nice keying music. Right, hold on. I'm going to just reposition everyone's camera. Is John going to try and come back? Do we know?
I'll text him now.
Oh,
Yeah.
wrong one. Andy can stay there, and then we want to get rid of that one. And then hold on, we need that because that's yours. And then that's Nathan's. Right, do apologise for this, everyone. This is the trouble with live TV and John's internet connection.
Believe it or not, we do actually start half an hour early, so we'll make sure everything's all set
Yeah,
up.
I know, and
Yeah.
that is the thing. For some reason,
Next
Andy's
thing.
been chopped off his head slightly. Let me see if I can get a top of his head in. Hold on, here we go. Look. Okay, look. If we can... That's it. Then there were three. Oh,
He's back.
Oh, it's back.
I don't believe that.
right, oh, nor do I. Rodney, you plonker. Right, okay.
Start again.
Just no one move. Right, everyone, just
Minutes
talk
in
about
and
it.
it
Pretend
all
this isn't happening, everyone. This is all fine. This is totally normal. I tell you
Just
what,
as you said the credits started rolling,
Yeah.
it came up, internet connection lost.
right. Hello and welcome to Flory Models, the seamless show you tune in for week after week just to see what goes wrong. We got any echo? Anyone going to complain about the echo? I better check actually. Hold on, let me make sure I've turned that off. No, it is off. Okay, right, fair enough. Okay, cancel that. Welcome to Flory Models, live show. You can tell it's live, at least you know it's real and we're not like one of these shows who fake it and all the rest of it. So, anyway, we are here. Welcome everybody to the live show, usual thing. The format as we tend to do it, don't forget we'll talk about obviously some of your great builds that you've been and put up recently, a little bit of a chinwag, what we've all been up to, and then post up your questions that you've got, especially in live chat, because we miss them, because you put them up now and then they get buried. So wait until literally a little bit into the show, and then when we shout out for your questions, post them up in live chat and things like that, and we can go through and answer those as well. So good evening to the Flory family, who are all in there. Lots of Chris's apparently, people beginning with C, only because I've got my little thing on the side here. So good evening to everybody who's down in there, to you all. Good evening to the YouTube stream as well. So yes, best part of the week. I couldn't agree, Phil. Well, normally, apart from when it goes wrong, then I secretly pull my hair out. I'm like a swan. I might be calm this side, but underneath I'm paddling like the clappers. So yes, anyway, we're all good. Never mind. Nathan, how are you? How's your week been?
I'm good. It's been good. I've been working. Been all right there.
How's work?
Working on my little tank. So I'll put the overhead on. Let's see if I can do that
Oh,
seamlessly.
careful, tonight anything could happen. You get ejected.
Where are we? So there we go. Little tiny little tank.
He is little.
Tiny 72 scale Zvizda, which I still can't say. So I've put loads of pigment on, and now what you can see, I'm going around with the oils, doing a technique, I can't remember the name of it, but it's where you do the shadows and blend them.
Yep.
And then the plan, I'm just taking this lot, is using a coffee jar. It's going to have a little
Is that a Kenko
jar
lid?
lid. Kenko lid. Spray that. It's actually the right colour for the Soviet flag in it, but I'm going to make a little diorama of Dresden, which could be a pile of rubble
Yeah.
with a tank on it.
Yeah.
So that's my a week of armour building, which is a nice change.
I have to say, we were talking about this, weren't we, yesterday, after me and Matt did our show. We were talking with the guys, and we were saying that 72nd scale tanks, we're all going to have a go at one, aren't we? Because like Nathan's done a cracking job on there, and obviously we saw some great ones with the COVID build as well. So I think we're all going to have to get a hold of a 72nd scale tank and do it as a bit of a live build even, or something else like that, because they are a lot of fun, and the detail that's in with them, and like Nathan's proving there, you can make a nice little diorette on a coffee lid.
Yeah, it's literally a jam jar lid sized diorama, isn't it?
So yeah, definitely something that I think we will be covering in the very near future. I can see us all getting 72nd scale tanks and having a go like that. I've built a few in the past for GMT when I did some work with them, and I did their little tiger and the panthers and things, and they are beautifully detailed for little tanks as well. Anyway, John, how are you?
I'm better than my internet.
Well, I don't know, because to be honest, when it does work, it's brilliant. Did you have to put 50p in the meter?
You know, all the time we're on Skype in the week, it never goes. As soon as a live show starts,
That's
bang.
it. Well, it's the law of sod, and you should know that after all these years.
But I'm fine. I've been cracking on with a little Heinkel.
Looking very good.
So it's all painted up now, ready
So
for
that's the Tamiya 48 scale salamander.
Yeah,
Is it the 126?
162.
162, there you go. I knew it was halfway there.
So that's all ready now to mask and spray the markings. I've got a Montex mask set for it, for like the main markings.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have my first go ever at doing that. So we'll see how that turns out.
I think the beauty of using masking for, you know, especially insignia and stuff like that, is you can weather them in and sand them in and make them part of the paintwork as well. That's what I love about them.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult if you're doing, you know, something more modern or new, because they tend to be always there. But older ones, you know, you're quite walled in as well. You can really blend them in. Looking very nice. And Andy. Oh, hold on. Andy. Oh, because Andy's there. Hold on. Hold on. You will be full screen in just a second. Yeah, sorry, because we are missing, obviously, one of the members is missing, as you've probably noticed. There we go. Go for it, Andy. You're clear.
Oh, so I've been doing version 2 of the 262.
Oh, what? You mean that isn't the first one?
No.
It's not a Blue Peter. Here's one I built earlier. That's nothing like the one you looked at last week.
The nose on this one's turned out a massively amount better. But still, you can tell it's still it's definitely designed to be open.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see all the gun ports and everything, which is not what I wanted. So, but this one will be all right. Looking not too bad. And I've also then been working on a side project.
Oh, is that going to be hanging off of me?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do jokes about probing me.
Yes.
Oh, look.
Oh,
Big brother cam.
That's the wrong one. That's the
There he
one.
is. He's back there.
That's it.
Very
Too many
nice.
cams.
Cool. And are you enjoying your 262? So that is the Hobby Boss kit, yeah?
Yeah, Hobby Boss. Yeah, it's not a bad kit. If you have the front end open, it's a really nice kit. It's just I didn't want the front end open. I think it ruins the shape of it.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know. Just
have you got your nose weight in it?
Well, it's built. That was one of the problems I had with the first one, because the nose weight is actually part of the. It's a metal nose weight, and it's part of the structure of the front end.
Ah, right. It comes with it in that kit, then. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just presumed it all went on all right, but when I came to do the second one, I noticed that where it goes into the wheel wells, I've had to sand quite a lot off the nose weight off to get the nose get it to fit in right and button up properly. So, but yeah.
Good. Well, as long as you enjoyed it. As Andy alluded to, for me, I've been working on this little lady this week. So as you can see, we have a together for the first time VC10. I have to say it's looking really nice, and from that view it looks pretty good, doesn't it? You don't want to get any closer, trust me. But what I've actually been doing as well, not only have we been getting the wings on, which was quite a big moment, but also I've been adding the strengthening. Now at the moment these are raw, so this is literally 0.25 plasticard strips. And the idea being is I'm going to sand these in a little bit to make them look like the strengthening plates, because it has strengthening plates over it. And then down the back here we've got more strengthening plates and some down the bottom. We've got a few other little ones, and some of the lumps and bumps, although they do come with the kit in plastic form, they are nothing like the real thing. So what I've elected to do is make them into plastic card, and we'll sand them in. So these have all been glued in, and I've put them all on yesterday, to be honest. Oh, and we did a nose wheel and things like that down in here as well. And then we've obviously got the fences for the wings and everything else. But the whole point is now we're going to give these a sand in, blend them in a little bit, and just to soften them somewhat. And then this will get a final coat of primer once we've done the wing joints and everything else, which actually, amazingly, I use good old-fashioned Revell Contactia glue. You know, which, to be honest, I'm one of these people that swears by this for big structural jobs because it's really good glue for the wings and things like that. And it also acted as a beautiful weld seam. So it's actually taken care of any little gaps we had down the side. They're still going to need a little bit of work in there. So we are going to have to put in a little bit of filler and go through it. And then obviously from our point of view, we got down in here and I've started to work on the stand, which is I've just got some acrylic. And to be honest, it's going to be like a cheese wedge. For one, then we've got obviously the part coming up. This will sit on the top here. We're going to have the baskets. Andy's now 3D printing me, hopefully, some in-flight refueling baskets, and we're doing it. We've got some little tiny magnets you would have seen on the previous shows. We were speaking about those for that one, and that's why Andy's obviously working on a Lightning. The other guys are working on various things as well. As you say, Nathan, as you can see there, has a Jaguar. So the idea is that this will probably come along to a few shows, if we can ever get back to doing show circuit again, where each time it will have different things hanging off the back of it. So we'll be able to just click in with the magnet system and with the hoses coming off of the actual wings, the actual in-flight refueling poses. So, and because of this aircraft, I don't know how long it was in service, it seems like forever, but it had everything that we can find, from Lightnings hanging off the back of it right the way up to Eurofighters. So Typhoons and things like that. So from that point of view, I think it's going to be one of those aircraft you can do quite a lot with it, with various things off the bat. So that's coming on really, really nicely. And to be honest with you, that will be up with you tomorrow. Will be the next part of this, which pretty much gets you almost to this stage. So it talks obviously about doing this surface detail work, all things like that on there, just like that. The other big momentous thing is the B17. Again, we've done these engines. If you've seen on social media, I'll put them all up on Instagram, some photos of these. Tomorrow you're going to get a bite size, and a lot of people have actually messaged me saying about, could I do a standalone video on just doing props? So I have. So there is going to be a video which will go up tomorrow as part of the bite size series, which covers doing the props. So it's everything from painting them through to doing the tips, the decals, and then obviously we've done chrome spinners on this one, as well as weathering. So I've done a before and after. I've got two next to each other, weathered and unweathered, so you can see the different versions. I've also done the walkways, if you can see it just about. See, the engines aren't stuck on yet, but we've got the walkways. They've all been painted on. Everything so far is actually painted onto this one. As I say, I haven't stuck the engines on yet because they don't need to go on until a little bit later. So plan of action for that one is literally to get the decals onto it. Once we've got the decals onto it, then we can go through doing obviously weathering and then finally unmasking, adding all the little details to it and moving on with it. So it's looking really, really nice. And the next part of that is ready to go. It's on the servers as we speak, and that'll be up with you on Monday as well. So lots and lots still to come. So yeah.
Just put in, Phil. Phil says, is the baskets in the Airfix 172nd Victor? We talked about this the other night, didn't we? And we don't think.
Well, I have got the Victor. I've got it here, but I've only got the bomber version with the blue steel missile. So I haven't got the second version they did, which is the tanker version. So I'm not sure if it comes to the tanker version. I know for a fact, because I've built it, the Revell, which was the old Matchbox Victor tanker, does come with it. It comes with it in flight. Because I did do one actually in flight on brass rods, and then we actually had aircraft off the back of it, and they are solid plastic hoses running down to a basket that's open. What they called Heritage Models actually made a Victor tanker drogue pod with the chute with it open, but I can't find anyone out there who's actually got one. So yeah, but at the moment Andy and his fantastic son Sam are trying to 3D print me one. So it might end up looking like a pull cord from a loo, but hey.
Yeah, that was the next thing. Tim says, did Andy model them? Not me, no.
No, Sam did, because quite frankly, we needed a professional. So Sam, which if you don't know, is obviously Andy's son, who's our CAD expert. How long has he been doing it? 2 weeks.
Yes.
What could possibly go wrong? But anyway, we're going to see how we get on with it. We have got a lot of time until we get to that stage as well. So there's a few other ideas out there and stuff. So it might, at the end of the day, involve us buying an old Revel Matchbox tanker just for the refueling baskets. At this rate, because I can't find anywhere else. It's an expensive way of doing it, I know, but yeah.
To be fair, I was watching Sam last night doing them on CAD, and it reminded me it was only like the 4th time he's ever used that program.
Yeah.
And to see him doing it blew my mind.
I know. Well, it's like when I watch people on Photoshop, because I've got some friends of mine, obviously, yeah, a bit photographers and that, and they're on there and they're like, oh, we'll just take out this background and we'll do that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. I haven't got a clue what you're on about, how you're doing that. It's literally like unicorns and fairies to me. But if you know what you're doing, it's great. But when you don't know, it's very, very impressive to see guys doing it, where they're just like clicking in, yeah, we're going to remove that pylon, remove him.
It built like a cone, then made the cone hollow. And then sort of like it did a pie thing above it that is cut into sections, and then drags it down, and it cuts all the bits out that you don't need for the, and how do you know? How do you even know how to do it?
That's because he's young and clever. Where we're old, we're analog, steam driven. We are. They're digital, different world. So yes. Anyway, so that's the plan. That's exactly where I am next week. As I say, I fully intend to really push on with these two, because I say I try and build monthly, as you guys know, so I'm slightly behind with these two, but they are quite large projects. So hopefully we'll get them into paint for the VC10's point of view, can get going with that one, and then probably I'm hoping we'll have this thing fully weathered, if not close to finished, but the week after that one will be done as well with V17. But again, both of them, I have to say, especially this thing, considering it is a nightmare, now when it's to this stage, it's no different to that. Everything is exactly, so we've got rid of all the hard work, everything's done now. I'm quite happy with the shape of it. It looks like a VC10, which is the main thing, so from that point of view it should be pretty straightforward. The only thing is, like I was saying with the guys yesterday, it's barley grey, so it's a bit boring, so I'm going to try and do some various things with the weathering as well to break it up and make it a little bit more interesting, shall we say, as we go through it on that one. But yes, all good stuff. Right, okay, so if we will go through and have a look this week, to be honest with you, I've been very bad today because I've been a bit busy, so I haven't had a chance to have a look yet, but the guys have. So, if I can get it to work, first of all, we'll have a quick look at some of your work that is up on the site right now. So Matt has been working on a fantastic Hobby Boss 1/48 scale, what is it, MiG-15? Or, well, yeah, it's the 2-seat version of the PLAFF JJ5, which is that a MiG-15?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's basically a 2-seater.
2-seat MiG-15, so it's obviously the Chinese build of it, isn't it, I suppose? But very nice. Who picked this one?
I did.
I did. Oh, I should have freaking known, really, didn't I?
Yeah.
Comrade Buller. Right, okay. Go on then, John, what do you like about it?
It was just the scheme on it. And the finish he's got on it is just like totally different.
It's actually quite refreshing, isn't it, to see a MiG-15 that's not metal, because that's basic. We all just do the metal colours, and to see it with the red, and that's a nice masking job on that as well, because that's a lot of masking to do it. And as we all know, spraying white's a nightmare and red's a nightmare as well. So to have both on the same model is kudos to him on that one.
Especially over those wing fences, that must be nice.
That's it. That's a complicated bird to do, and just getting like the swooshes down the side here. And around the cockpit as well, and up the tail. Yeah, it's not as straightforward as it may first look on that one to try and mask that thing up. But again, good solid white colour, good solid red colour on it. You know, nicely weathered with the wash.
Overspray's a nightmare at the best of time when you unpeel masking, but with red and white together.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Weather it in, and you better go back and touch it.
Yeah,
no, that's it. There's a lot of back and forth, or I would be going around touching that in afterwards. And it's quite nice with a little bit of metal underneath it as well. You know,
and he's in chat as well.
And he's in chat, so that's it. So well done, Matt. We like that one. That's a really, really nice job on that. That's a lot of kudos to that one, because again, you've got a lot of things that could go easily wrong with that. As I say, white is a nightmare to spray, and red, and then to do masking jobs with both is not straightforward at all. You know, you've nowhere to hide, really, is it? So yes, good job on that one. Congratulations, brilliant job as always. Okay.
He said he had shares in Tammy and masking tape.
I would have thought so after that, definitely. Okay, so this is the Hobby Boss Merkava, or God's Chariot. It's a useless piece of information I've learnt, a bit like German nipple warts, but, you know, chest warts. But anyway, so this is the Tank Girls one. Very nice.
Yeah, I like this because it's a totally sort of what if thing.
Mind you, I'm not being funny. Have you seen the Israeli, you know, the IDF force with some of the ladies in there? Not being sexist at all, but I think they look quite good.
Instagram, don't they?
I don't know what you mean. But yeah, check out Instagram and just put IDF girls. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, back to the show. Very nice job indeed.
It looks cool in that scheme, doesn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just totally different, isn't it?
Yeah.
it is, because normally you see the Merkavas, they're in that sort of, the one that I did is just done in that standard Middle Eastern desert colour, not having it in the sort of triple colour, the sort of camo effect onto it. But again, it's one of those ones, it's nicely weathered, it's got that sort of dusty, warm sort of look to it, it's got the motley effects onto it, like down on here and around there, it just really works, all of it. And also I like the base, the having the difference where you've got the sort of, you know, the gravel with the grass and the different types of foliage around with it as well. Oh, is that a drone in the tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Half the viewership to Instagram.
Yeah, everyone's gone to Instagram now. Come back, everyone. Go after the show. So yes, very, very nice indeed. Nice little one. But as I say, I'm particularly a fan of the foliage as well. The ground cover is very, very nice.
Ed Green says, wow, IDF girls on Insta. I see what you mean, Phil. So I think everyone's...
I have no idea what anybody's on about. It's just I heard it from someone else. Nathan told me.
I think we've lost everyone for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
now.
that's it. That's it. The viewer thing's just dropped by 100. Anyway, great job, Simon. Like that one. And he's a local Southwestian, as I am as well, because he's from Plymouth. So you get extra kudos for that as well. Very nice job. Cool job on that one. Like that one a lot.
Simon's in chat as well.
Who? What? You're Sam?
Simon.
Oh, Simon. Sorry, I thought you said Sam. So get back to work. Right, okay, John. He's done the ballistic missile launcher, the DF-21 by Trumpeter.
Oh.
So it's a
I'd
tube.
pick that one. Look at the size, it's huge.
It is a monster.
Can I ask the obvious question?
Go on.
Where did he get his blue clamp from?
It is, yeah. Who's that? Who's vibrating? It's a friction clamp, look. Yeah, no one's worried about the model. Everyone said where we got the friction clamp from. Very nice indeed.
It's nice weather and all that, actually, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah, you got that sort of road film to it. Because again,
Yeah.
the thing is, the reality is, they are just painted green, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot where you can go with it as far as the weathering, because you're not going to be going around dry brushing it and changing it, because they wouldn't be. Because one would assume they're kept very, very clean and nice because of what they are, you know. But again, it's got that nice road film down on here on the business end, around the underside and stuff like that.
I thought it had the potential just to look like a Tonka toy.
Hmm.
But the weathering is
The
kept,
weathering's done the trick,
kept
isn't
it
it?
away from that.
Yeah.
It's huge. And look at the size. Hell of a job to build that kit.
Hmm. I don't know if that's reverb coming round, guys. Anyone got your speakers a bit loud? Just get a little bit of reverb coming through.
Phone's too near to...
Yeah, anyone got their phone too close to something? I'll just move mine. But yes, very, very cool. Very nice job on that one, John. Okay, so last up for today, we've got Neil's, which I must admit, I did see this one, and when obviously, Nathan, you picked this one out, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw that and I just
Yeah, I must admit, I saw this one earlier. Very, very nice. So Neil's done a beautiful Phantom. And again, just, it's one of those. The Phantom sells itself anyway because it's a really nice looking aircraft, but it's quite nice having it just on the ground, FOD covers in, it's got all the covers on, all the removable flight tags, you know, in the cockpit as well, everything ready to go. But the detailing in here is absolutely astonishing. Beautiful job all the way through, down to the chipping effects, you know, the general weathering, all of those, very, very nice. Nice work down the clamshell on the back end here with the heat plates, and then obviously the engine nozzles, very nice indeed. And again, the little touches obviously with the wiring up on the inside, all extra parts being used. Beautiful cockpit as well.
Is this the Haskell kit?
I believe so.
I believe so, yes.
It's just got that wow factor, and it's the way it's presented on the tarmac, all the little like airfield bits and bobs around.
Yeah, so you've got obviously your lights as well, the airfield lights and the things.
That's cracking, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously with the dispersal. Parachute, nicely done as well. Packed and ready to go. Very, very nice job on that one, like that one. Again, it's one of those kits, when you look at it, you have to do a little bit of thinking, is that actually a 32nd or a 48th?
Yeah,
because it's got all the detail of everything down in here. When I first saw it, to be honest with you, I had to do a double take because I thought it was a 32nd kit and you'd converted the Tamiya into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is just the standard one. So you got, you know, obviously a little bit of extras down in there as well, but a lot of that is scratch building into it as well. So
that's the one that Revel have reboxed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can pick up for 20 odd quid nowadays.
Yeah.
Definitely worth getting one because if you leave it 2 years, there'll be daft money again.
Yeah. But again, it's one of the, to be honest with you, I've built quite a few of those. There's a lot of you guys probably see my Phantom video all about them. I've seen, and it is a great kit. It's one of those kits, like, it's just been beautifully shown here that it's maybe plain by today's standard, pun intended, but at the end of the day, it's a great jump off point to add details, and there's a lot of aftermarket out there, and by doing that and scratch building, you can turn, as we can see here, something into, you know, a fantastic looking kit. You know, so go with the aftermarket route, add it to it, because the kit itself, if you buy the Revel box in, is about 25 quid, isn't it? 30 quid?
It's
25 quid. I've just bought one now from Amazon.
Oh, look, there you go. I was going to say, I know they're only about 25, 30 quid. If you want the Revel boxing of it, obviously it's a little bit more if you get it in the Hasegawa boxing. But it's a beautiful, straightforward kit. And I have honestly built now probably over 50 Phantoms of Hasegawa ones. And they are fantastic. And this obviously being the SPAY engine version, it's different to the normal for our American colleagues who probably looking at it thinking it's an F4J. It's not. It's actually the SPAY engine one. So that's why we have the covers here at the back. The auxiliary air intakes go down here, and it's different underneath it as well because there's more prominence in the bulges where the engines go down the back, hence the reason it has its different nozzles down in here for the SPAY engine version. That's it, I'm proper anorak now. Again, the classic is we haven't seen this from another manufacturer yet, have we? There's lots of rumours going around about a supposed one coming down the chain later on from a certain company, but yeah, us to see one, and there was a rumour going around about a 32nd one, wasn't there?
It was, but that's gone very quiet, hasn't it?
Well, that company's gone very quiet, full stop, haven't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but again, very good job on that. Incredible kits, guys. Fantastic for this week. Brilliant.
Whoever says men can't multitask, they should see me working on Amazon whilst I'm doing a live show.
Yeah, whilst he's spending money whilst talking.
I've already got one, that's the worst thing. I've already got one in the stash anyway, but...
Yeah, he's just checked his sheet. It turns out he's got them all. All cock and brown one and everything.
I won't have too many, can you?
Well, yes, this is very, very true. Right, okay, so on to the questions, guys. So at the moment, we'll just read out the questions in the actual the forum, and then we'll work our way through. One thing just to talk about just before we get into there, obviously we started the group build. That is up and running at the moment. As you probably know, this is the movie or the action film group build. It's a full group build. You get a medal and everything that goes in. And to be honest, myself and the rest of the guys have been bombarded by questions about what qualifies and what doesn't. So over to you, Andy.
Nathan.
Okay, where do I start? Right, a couple of things that we were talking about is... Oh, right. There's two concerns. I think there was not a concern really, but think what we want to do is if your model is telling a story, it needs to play a decent part in the film. So we're not looking for, I mean, the Planes database website will tell you literally if it appeared for a split second, it's on the list. So I think we're keen to have models that have a significant part of the plot of the film.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
if you're doing, we'll come to this one in a minute. If you're doing, say, Back to the Future, and there happened to be a certain car in the background shot, yeah, it's in the film, but it's not central to the story. That film is about one car, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I think other people have raised some concerns that some people are building models that are not action movies. And to be honest, what we've had is a chat about two builds. I'll not mention them because it's just going to, no need. But we had a chat and said because they were in the spirit of the group build, we've kind of let them through. They had one of them's got a definite action sequence in it, and the other one, it was just a, the other one, the aircraft, I think it was, still played a big part in the film. So we thought, well, it was in the spirit of the group build. But I think my idea is approach this from the movie first.
Mm-hmm.
Pick an action film that you've seen that you like and then build something for that. I think all the problems are coming where someone's looking at the stash, seeing a certain aircraft and then going to find a film that aircraft is in. And I think that's where all the problems are coming in, because people are picking, I don't know, I've got a Sukhoi Su-7 up there, and yeah, there's a film that I found that is, I think it's an old Bollywood film from the 70s. I've never seen it, and I'm like, that's not the spirit of the group build. I think it's like, pick a film that you like, build something from that film. And if Internet Movie Database doesn't tell you it's an action film when you think it is, I found sometimes Rotten Tomatoes there's classed a film as an action film. So just do a little bit of Googling on a couple of movie related websites, and as soon as one of them says it's an action film, then go for it, really.
And also the thing is, we sorry Andy, we've also obviously had a few people mention to me about films and like, is it an action film or isn't it, because some of them are more comedies. But famously like Wallace and Gromit, as I was pointing out to the guys before we came on air, I'm on the edge of my seat with this stuff, so as far as I'm concerned, that's a pure action film. It might be a cartoon comedy family film to you lot, but honestly, seeing Wallace and Gromit having a car chase, I'm on the edge of my seat. So quite clearly that is an action film first, comedy perhaps, cartoon afterwards. So that goes. But again, it's more to do with the spirit of the group builds. So you're building something because it's funny, it's entertaining, it's technically part of an action sequence in a film and it's used to being part of it. But also the thing is, I've had various people say to me, would this count? And it's a case of, like, this isn't one directed that anyone's asked me yet, but it would be a bit like saying, I want to do Apollo 13 and have the helicopter that picks up the crew, the Sea King, at the end. Well, technically, yes, it is in the film, and yes, it's a pivotal part of it because it picks them up, but it's not actually anything to do with that film. It's really, if you wanted to do an Apollo, capsule, or, a Saturn V or something else like that, you would just put up Saturn V action film, from Apollo 13. We'd all be no problem with that. But if you wanted to do like his, Corvette Stingray from Apollo 13, that's technically, it is in the film, where it conks out the lights, but that's about it. So it's not a pivotal part. So if you've got like a panning shot and in the background there's a Ford Mondeo, that doesn't actually count as being part of it. But if you can find a film that's an action film and there's a pivotal chase scene in it or something into it, then fair enough. I've had a couple of people mention to me about some of the Transformers films, and like I've said, if it's one of the Transformers, you can do it as its vehicle form or as a Transformer as well, if you want to go down those kits as well, and that would count. So if you wanted to do the car, like Bumblebee as the car, then that's fine, or as in, because it would cover crossover, because I don't think anyone's doubting that it's part of the film and it is part of it. But if it's just something that's in it for the sake of a tracking shot or just part of a sequence and it's not a pivotal part of it and they don't use it throughout the film or something else like that, then it doesn't count. But again, we're just getting that grey area which is starting to take over. But like I said on Tuesday's Q&A show, it was one of those ones, if you theory it probably doesn't count, it probably doesn't. Okay, so just try and pick things. Like we said, there's tons of stuff out there, let's face it. You could probably do anything out there, you know. So if you're trying to shoehorn something just to make it fit, it gets a little bit troublesome. But what me and the guys don't want to do is spend hours every day having to research on what you're talking about. You should make the decision on it. And if it is, and if it's a bit grey, just stay away from it. There's plenty of things in there you could get them into. And there is, I'm not being funny, it's not like we're a tight subject here. It's action films, you could do anything you like, you know? So, you know, there's so much choice. But me and the guys really don't want to spend hours of our day having to go online and research, doing technically your job for you, just to say if that kit can go in there. Because we've had this before. Famously, we had a group build, as you might remember a few years ago, which drove me mad, which is the animal one.
Oh god, yeah.
You know, and I know I stirred it up because I said, well, clearly unicorns count, you know, and dragons. So, you know, but it didn't help that people were literally inventing stuff, because in Latin, converted into Hebrew via, you know, I don't know, Belgium, it's a porcupine. So it's a case of really, you know, people are really struggling to make stuff fit, and it became a little bit of a sour, shall we say, group build, purely because the amount of time me and the guys are putting into finding stuff out, seeing if it counts, when really it's not our job. It's your job to do it.
I had somebody message me regarding something out of the last Lord of the Rings film, and they asked me, does it qualify, because it doesn't come under as an action film, but as far as he was concerned, Lord of the Rings is an action film. And I tended to agree, and I actually had a look at them, and the first Lord of the Rings film is classed as an action film, but the other two aren't. Yet there's more action in the second two.
Yeah, and I would call them all action films as well, yeah.
So I said to him, yeah, as far as I'm concerned.
But again, don't forget, let your common sense work with this, because obviously common sense, they are action films, you know, so that goes for it. But also, it's not so much even it's an action film, it's being used in as part of an action, you know, for a pivotal part of a film, or something where people will say, yeah, I get that because it had that car in it, or that plane was in that section, or whatever it is. So people ideally will recognise it. And like I've said before, when you do your reveal for it, or even when you're doing your build for it, what you want to do is list it at the top with obviously what you're doing and the film it's in. So people, you can put in there, I don't know, you know, an F-18 Hornet from Independence Day. Don't start me on that one, but anyway, you could, all right, and you could put it in there. So also, it just so people can say, yeah, got you. From off the bat, everybody knows where you're going with this one, you know. But if you wanted to, like an X-wing from Star Wars, that's all you got to put. You haven't got to put what scene it's in, or what squadron, or anything else in the details. Just what it is from. And then obviously, when you do your reveal ones, you want to put a little bit about it's in that film, in that section, and the reason why you picked it, because that's part of the reason for it as well.
I think the way to look at it is to pick a kit that fits into an action movie that you like, rather than finding a movie that fits a kit that you've got.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's where a lot of the bother's coming from.
I think that's what people are doing. They're looking at their stash, like I think Nathan said, and then trying to find a film to get that kit into it, and that's the wrong way to look at it. You know, let's face it, there is absolute tons out of there. You're scraping the barrel where you're having to go through it and try and find something to make it fit, you know. So, you know, as I say, it's just, you know, the fun of it. Don't forget, the whole point of all the group builds we've ever done is to have fun. You know, they're supposed to be a fun thing to do, that you're enjoying doing it, but also you can share then the reason why you picked that particular thing, you know, because are you a fan of that particular film, are you a fan of the particular aircraft into it, you know, or vehicle, or whatever it is into it, or boat, or, you know, anything else like that. I'm waiting for somebody to do that giant Titanic.
Yeah.
Because technically, is Titanic an action film? It is when it's sunk. You know?
Can we just jump in for a second? Paul's just asked if the model has to be a character in the film. It doesn't have to be a character, but you'd have. I mean, if you're doing Top Gun, the F-14 is in that all the time.
Yeah.
It's a big part of the film. If you're doing Star Wars, then the Millennium Falcon is.
Yeah.
It's iconic, isn't it? I think what we're trying to get away with. I mean, the internet plane database. I mean, I'm doing the Red Baron's DR1, and I went on that plane's database, and it lists every single plane in that film, and sometimes they were literally just fleeting background sort of air. I mean, it's just. I think if you're choosing your model, everybody goes, "Oh yeah, it's in that film. I know it." You know, if you're going to do Battle of Britain, do a Spitfire. Don't do a refueling truck.
Yeah, absolutely. Classic example, somebody just posted up in here, and this was covered, I did speak about it last week. In, obviously, Rambo Part 2, you've got the Hind, which is actually a puma, or is it a cougar, one or the other. It was actually made up to look like a hind. So technically, it's one of those things. It was a hind, but you can't build a hind because it wasn't a hind. It looked nothing like a hind in any form or whatsoever. But if you wanted to do a puma and stick some pylons on it and put Russian stars on it and all the rest of it, we'd all get what you were doing. And that is the spirit of it. Rather than saying, I've got a Hind 24, I don't think anyone actually says it's a hind in the film anyway, but it's that thing about, we know what the filmmakers were trying to do, it doesn't. And like we said before, there's a lot of Harvards out there which used to masquerade as zeros for a lot of the, after the war films and things like that. So they'd have a Harvard, paint it white, give it a black nose and some, red dots all over it. And also all of a sudden it's a zero. But if you wanted to do a Harvard in those markings and say it's from that film, that would work. But you can't do a real zero and put it in that film, But if you wanted to do Pearl Harbor, for instance, okay, and you wanted to do a zero, we're not going to be, so sort of anal and say that's not exactly the version they used in the film, because as we know, the versions they used in the film were all over the place. So from that point of view, if you just did a zero navy markings, it would count because it's close enough. So in some areas, we're giving you loads and loads of freedom of saying, okay, you can take a little bit of artistic license. Like there's lots of films out there that have got aircraft which aren't the right version for that time frame, but it is, a Spitfire. Battle of Britain's a classic example. I think they've got from Mark 1s into that to Mark 15s. And later Mark Spitfires, bubble top Spitfires, they put fake bits on the back of them and stuff like that for the Battle of Britain film. But obviously if you did a Spitfire and called it Battle of Britain, that's close enough because it's roughly in that genre. So, as you said before, don't try and shoehorn stuff in just for the sake of it. Take it in the spirit of what it is. It's supposed to be a bit of fun and having it, and there's lots of different things out there,
So, let's say Top Gun, for example, the original film.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got F-14s and
A4s and F5s.
What about Kawasaki?
What, for his bike?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, technically you could do if you want to stick stickers all over it.
So, and also say the new Top Gun film, F-18s, possibly an F-14, who knows? And also his new bike. What about the P51?
What? Because he did a K.
Yeah.
But
can you model that?
But again, you could in theory because it's part of it. But again, having not seen the film, we don't know how much is into it. We've all seen the ones where he flew all the cast around in it, didn't we? So they could get used to G. But how much is it actually in the film? No one knows yet. So we're a little bit up in the air. But technically, yes, you could do ones like that. That wouldn't be a problem because they're all part of it. And if you wanted to, you could do a P51D and call it a K, because unless you really know what you're looking for, actually there's not a lot to see difference-wise, is it?
Propellers, isn't it?
And the tail. But yeah, again, that's just because we know what we're on about, and it's like, But again, it's close enough in that sort of genre. But again, you're going to dress it up to be that version as well. So you do want it to be in the paint scheme and in the style of it. So like we said, if you're doing a Harvard and it's masquerading as a zero, it's got to be in the marking. So you can't just put a Harvard in there. It's got to be a Harvard painted up like a zero, or various things to it as well. So That's the thing to it. But again, it's one of those things. I'm just trying to nail this down so everybody knows what to do with this. I don't want to spend all evening on about it, but that's really where we want to go with it. Keep it simple. Don't overthink it. But again, please try and do your homework so we're not. Because I've already spent hours going through some of these. So I haven't got a clue what a lot of people are on about. So I have to go off and Google it to find out the film that it was in to see even what they're on about. So it does make it a little bit difficult.
What's really nice to see is I can't remember who's doing it, but someone's building a pattern tank painted up as a tiger.
Yeah,
that's what they used in the film, and I thought that's exactly what this group
That's
built.
what the whole
about.
spirit of this is, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Anyway, speaking of which, John says, I'm looking to build a DeLorean from Back to the Future. That will count. The web link Andy has posted. Oh God, here we go. I haven't even read any of these questions, by the way. From the forum for action movies, and it's down in the category except action. It counts. Moving on.
Yeah,
But again,
if you
the
go
thing
on
is,
Rotten Tomatoes, it's an action adventure film.
absolutely, because the trouble you get is to say you get fantasy and adventure, but there's still action films in there as well. So, as I say, and also the thing is, when you're picking something from a fantasy or that type of genre film as well, it has to be a pivotal part. And obviously the DeLorean it's a bit like doing Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters, isn't it?
yeah.
As far as everyone knows what it is. So, yeah. Right, normal question. Thank God. Thank you, Rob. You've saved me. Evening team, do you know if the new Revell 132nd F-18F has the spine issues sorted? As I'd like to do it in the VFA 103 scheme. To be honest, I haven't seen it yet, and I'll hold my breath. You would hope so, but I'm thinking when you look at the normal version, the Echo, they do it the standard way of making a single seat to a two seat. So I still think it's going to be it'd be like a pool table behind the cockpit, even though the cockpit goes further back. But I don't know. Again, the thing is, this is a classic example where I know far too much about the Hornet for my own good, because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't notice. But I don't think it's probably that bad. I saw one a couple of weeks ago that somebody did, and I actually thought it looked really nice. And comparing it obviously to Trumpeter, and that's the only thing you're going to go up against, it looked really, really nice. Don't know, one of those weird ones. You would hope though, because obviously the rear cockpit, for everyone who doesn't know, the Echo, the E-Type's the single seat, the Foxtrot and the Growler, the G, they're the two-seat ones. So obviously the cockpit goes further back, so you would hope it covers some of the spine issue. It was a little bit flat and a little bit wide, and it made it look like a pool table. So yeah, that was the trouble with that kit. And also, unfortunately, Matt isn't here, which we haven't said. Unfortunately, Matt's dying with the lurgy. We're just hoping it is the lurgy, seeing as he's got no taste. But then I've seen his shoe collection and don't think he's had that taste for years. So, but yeah, so anyway, poor old Matt's feeling a bit under the weather. It's a bit rough. And seeing as I'm not being funny, we're all supposed to be there on Saturday. If we all come back with the plague, we know it's him. Right, okay, Jez says, question for Matt. Unfortunately, he's not here. Andy, because Andy's is stand-in. Airfix have re-released, well, I presume it's the re-release, the 1/12 scale Bentley. Is it available to pre-order?
Yeah, it's a re-release, yeah.
Didn't think they'd done a new one. Crikey.
No, it's not a new one, no, definitely not.
Can we get them in, Andy?
I'd imagine so. I can't see why not. I don't know why you'd want one, but...
I was going to say, that's a trip down memory lane. Our old TAC kit.
Oh.
I wouldn't say it's old, but it's got wooden wheels.
When did the Bentleys come out? 1930s, so probably about 1940s.
I was going to say, that's got to be one of their really old kits, isn't it? Okay, Jeremy
I'll
says...
find out
Hi.
for you, Jez.
Sorry?
I'll find out for Jez and I'll find a price and let him know.
Yeah. Jeremy says, hi everyone. Phil, will you be doing a review of the ICM Cessna 02 Skymaster? Yes, as long as you guys don't all buy them. But we've got them in obviously at stock at PM, so I was planning on bringing them on back with me on Saturday. So that'll be the plan for that one. Robert says, "Hi, I have a kit with I got a kit with a lot of flash, especially on fine parts such as undercarriage legs. The flash is thin and difficult to sand out, even impossible due to the tight areas where it is. I cannot get small sanders. Do you have any ideas how to deal with this?" Go on, throw open to you guys, and then I'll chirp up mine.
Knife. Scrape it.
Bloody sharp knife from Nathan.
Yeah, scrape it. A scraper of some form.
A
So really
scraper.
sharp scalpel.
Yeah, John.
Now I've got these.
Oh God, he's gonna need a close up. Where'd you get them?
RB Productions.
Oh, very nice.
They're just little photo etch that you stick sandpaper or wet and dry paper on,
Right.
and they come in a variety of shapes. The fine sort of pointy ones are quite handy for getting in really tight spaces. But yeah, they're quite useful.
Very nice. Okay, Andy.
What I tend to do is cut sanding sticks down like that.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot smaller, so you can get into smaller bits. But again, like Nathan, I use just a scalpel and just clean it up, and then possibly go over it with a sanding sponge just to take any rough bits off and what have you.
Or, so I've got I don't know why I'm going to show you these because it's a bit
The
like rubbing
offcuts,
suit
yeah.
in the wound, but when you own a manufacturing company, you can do this. Hold on, I just need to bring this camera. I've only got one camera on today. But I actually do, if you think this is our normal sanding stick, so that size, we can do them in this as well. So I must admit, I do have some of these. These are left over from the prototype days, which I've still got loads of them. But these are actually 1mm. So they're very, very good for that one. So, but I will say, you've either got, you can go into something like this. This is one of these deburring type tools, which are lethal, and it's got a point. This is actually sharp, so you can just scrape clean. Okay, but a little trick I used to do back in the day, I don't do it so much these days because I don't find that problem, is if it's very, very thin flash, if you get yourself a jet powered lighter or one of those, what do you call it, creme brulee torches, what they call those things, the old mini flamethrower, if it's very thin flash, you can literally flash your plastic with it. You have to be careful because clearly if you hang around you'll set fire to your sprue, but if you just flash it over it, if you've got flash that's in between parts, like if you're doing undercarriage legs where you've got the suspension travel parts and it's in, it will melt them clean off and it will be absolutely fine with it. Or the other thing as well, if you use Tamiya extra thin and you brush it in there, it will melt it and it will eat it and it will take it out as well. But the flashy one, I haven't done it for a long time because I haven't really felt the need to do it, but that's the little thing. I used to have a little blowtorch, a little gas powered lighter, one of these windproof ones, and literally if you just flash it over it, you see it just burn off and it just goes instantly and it won't affect the major parts of it. But obviously you wouldn't do it on anything thin. Undercarriage legs that got a bit of flash and a center seam, you can just literally hoof it off and get rid of it, and then you can just pop around if you want to with your deburring tool, sanders, things like that, cut them down and do it that way as well. But that's how I used to do it anyway. And say, luckily for me, almost, apart from doing that, but most things these days don't really have flash problems like they used to have back in the day. Andrew says, evening all, Phil and Team F. I'm trying to understand why a final clear coat is applied after the weathering has been applied. In your opinion, is the weathering dulled or effect lessened as a result? Great show, thank you, cheers, from Perth, Australia. Guys, because I don't.
It depends on, again, in what part of the weathering you talk about. I mean, if you've put a wash on it, then yeah, maybe put something over it if you're going to carry on doing oils and pigments and things. But not necessarily. And if I was using oils and pigments, I probably wouldn't overcoat it at the end stage anyway, because like you said, it does then take away the hue of the pigments and oils. So it's pointless doing it. So yeah, I'd only clear coat in some occasions, not many occasions.
For an aircraft, I'll sometimes do it as a unifying coat. I've got lots of different glossy areas and flat areas. I want to unify it.
Mm-hmm.
I might do it. It does darken panel line. If you've got like a panel line wash on or pigments, it does tend to darken them a little bit though. I can bring the contrast out. You know, if you know, so it can be useful. But so on this tank, I wouldn't be putting a fine. I might do it. I don't know. It depends if it gets too glossy, I'll do it. But otherwise, I wouldn't bother.
See, clear coats between weathering stages help to sort of like give you a barrier against one level against another one.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't put a clear coat on as the final finish on top of weathering, because, like I say, you've lost what you're trying to achieve in the first place.
I think,
trying to achieve.
as I say, I stopped doing top coats a few years ago now. Actually, the last time I did was the whatever I did before the A10, because again, I quite like popping around with a sander. Shameless plug, I know, but the weathering stick, as we call it, which is basically the polisher one, if you use the green side, you'll get a nice flat to satin finish, and if you use the white side, you'll get gloss. So what I tend to do, and the B17 is a classic example, is that you can actually go around and do things. So I will, during the build of this one, even on the green areas on here, I'll slightly distress them. So some of them I'll like give a flat finish to, some will be more satin, some will be a little bit glossy, just to break them all up with it. And the same will probably be with the actual, with the VC10. Making some areas a little bit shiny, some glossy, because when you look at aircraft especially, because they've got curves, depending on where you see it on the curve and stuff, they can be quite glossy looking. Other areas are dead flat. Then you've got exhaust areas and stuff like that as well. You want those to be flatter versus perhaps the nose, which might be quite shiny or something else like that with it. So I just always, as I say, for the last couple of years now, I've never final coated anything. I just tend to leave it. Also, because I use a lot of oils now, and I use obviously a bit of pigments and various things, I think you kill the effect. And I like to leave them as it is, because again, we're using oils and enamels, they're quite glossy, so it gives a nice sort of satin finish. And when they dry out, they usually dry out quite unevenly, which I like the look of that. So some areas again looking quite glossy and shiny because they're still wet, and then other areas obviously are quite dried out because perhaps there's very little pigments and stuff on there, but it's quite nice. But the A10 is a classic, because when you look across it, if you get right down on it, it looks like a gloss coat, and you can literally read reflections into it. But if you look at it from different angles, it looks totally flat. And if you look across it from looking across the wing section, you can see certain areas are flat, some are not. And what I did literally was just use the green one and just flattened out a panel. Next panel next to it, I might do sort of satin or a little bit glossy, and it's literally just a blind to break it up. But it is that thing when you look across, it's different. A classic example is natural metal finish. When you're doing something like this, for instance, as I sat here, this section of the wing is like a mirror. It's proper aluminium, looks like very highly polished aluminium. This section down in here is more, perhaps a little bit satin, more finish off to it. This looks quite flat on the actual fuselage, but it's only because I'm sat. So if I move around here, now the fuselage has gone glossy, these two look identical. So I don't want to lose that effect, but I think if I was to come along and just gloss it, not only will I lose the hue from the metal finish, but also it will standardize the look of it right the way across. And I like having that different look, and I think it makes models look a little bit more in scale. So whilst I agree in some ways of having a protective coat as like a save, so if you're going through and you've painted your model, and that's assume you were down into something like this, and you've just done all the grey work and you're really happy with it, but you weren't too sure about the next weathering coat you're going to put on, okay? So that's assume you're using like my wash, and you thought, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to try on this one, the black wash. So by putting on that gloss coat, you will get 100% of that wash off, no problem at all. And it will be just, okay, we can just start again with perhaps the dark dirt wash, and you put that one across it, and then you might think that's too dark and I'm going to try the grey wash or something. You can do that and knowing nothing will get through it. You are 100% safe, the same way if you were trying it with oils and all the rest of it. But as I get nearer the end of the build, I will probably not go in with any more protective coats, because just to break it up and give that final effect to it. Don't know. John, what about you? Do you ever do yours?
It depends what finish I want on it. I will put a gloss coat on it if all I want is a panel line wash, because I want to get the wash off of everywhere bar the panel lines. But if you want something a bit grubbier and dirty, then no. I mean, this one probably won't get any gloss coat whatsoever because I'm painting the main markings on. The paintwork's smooth enough for the small decals that I'm going to be putting on. I shouldn't have any issues there. So I will probably use one of your weathering sponges, Sanders, to be honest on that.
Yeah. But again, it's one of those things where if you're, I would say, not too sure, then I think a clear coat is a definite way of going through. But also it depends on, with the finish, if you were doing something like armour, you could probably get away with a flat coat right the way over it. But I'd still want to do pigments definitely after, because pigments I think just get killed off. The wash, even the clay wash, when you overcoat it with a gloss, it will go darker. You know, if you use a flat coat, it tends to come back a little bit because the light's being reflected off a bit. But it just depends on how happy you are with the look of it as well. If you're thinking that looks really nice, do you really want to risk putting a clear coat over the top of it and perhaps losing some of it? But in some cases, if you are going to be coming through and you think, do you know what, that paintwork is fine, very happy with that, I would say, look, no problem, let's save it. Seal it, put a gloss coat over it, a satin coat, your flat coat, whatever you want to do, and that way that's protected and it's down under there. If you're coming along with like harsher weathering things as well, you know, then obviously you do want to protect your coat. So if you're thinking, well look, I'm going to put this all down and then maybe doing chipping later and things like that, then yeah, you probably want to gloss it and protect it down there. Then you go in with your chipping afterwards and stuff like that, just so you've got that barrier. So if your chipping went horrendously wrong, flashbacks here of a certain Corsair I did many years ago, at least you've got a barrier, where otherwise you're going down to bare plastic every time to start the process over again. But if you've got that little bit of protection in there, I think it's probably worth doing. But if you're happy with how you're going along, I wouldn't worry about it. But again, that's my thing has changed over the last few years. I don't like putting top coats on things. That's why I don't do it anymore.
If you want a good tutorial on how to remove paint using IPA,
yes,
watch Phil's Corsair video.
Yeah, that's it. Jesus. Speaking of which, look, we need a photo for this one. Look, right, okay. So Tomas says, "Hello, Phil. Have you ever experienced a situation when two different bottles of the same paint from the same manufacturer has different colours?" And it's funny because I would say no, apart from Vallejo, but you've got some because they have a habit of changing theirs. Okay, confusion caused by Vallejo when working on a Bradley in the desert camo last time. Below is a picture with the camo comparison of the different bottles of paint from different years. I'm not sure if Vallejo have changed the colours over the years or I've got some wrong production. I have to add that I don't think the paint changed colour in the bottles over time. The leftovers from the leftovers from an old 128 bottle still got me the same colour when I used it some years ago. Okay, so Dan in here has done a fantastic picture of how the colours seem to have changed. And okay, so I can speak for Vallejo, bearing in mind, little disclaimer here, I haven't actually had anything directly to speak to Vallejo in a few years now, but I used to speak to, well, their main man. I used to speak to him all the time. But the thing was that I did mention to them a few years ago about some of the colours, and they did say to me that they were changing them, and I'm assuming where this has come in. So that original one, 028, as you can see, is very... Whoa, yeah, don't know what that is, but it's definitely a bit weird. Obviously the later ones being US desert sand colour, isn't it? Down into that one, I know for a fact they did change it along the line, but I wasn't aware of they sort of done it 3 times.
Well, it's different bottle numbers, aren't they? Two are 028 and one's 122, so...
Yeah. But as you can see, that's definitely, yeah, the 122 is the same as, yeah, 023 now, isn't it?
But you can tell even the bottle is a different bottle, though, isn't it? It's a different label between the 028s. So
I'm imagining that will be your clue as well. When you're looking at the bottle where it's got the FS number at the bottom, that'll be the newest, obviously, because they've added that onto it. Whereas obviously the other ones haven't. Also, they just called the top one sand yellow. versus the other one hadn't. But obviously that sand yellow, I'm assuming the 028 is where they've made a change. So they've known they've cocked up. The trouble you always get with this, and I can speak from my behalf as well, is that sometimes when I make a change to a product or a product code, it can take a while to filter down to the end user. Purely because if I've got a stockist who's got a load of those, they're probably still selling them as the old one. So it may have been that Vallejo spotted this many years ago and changed it, but a particular supplier or stockist might have a lot of them sat on the shelf. And the chances are they don't replace them. It's not like they say, how many bottles have you got, we'll send you replacements. It will just be when they run out, they'll change over. So I think that's probably what's happened there. But yeah, that original colour, I've got a feeling there was actually a thing going on about that many years ago about how far out a colour that was, and I know they changed it. So, but I can't remember if it was 028, it's now changed to 122. But Vallejo over the years, you might remember, I used to have big racks of them here. I used to have the trouble where they'd change them and the numbers would change as well all over the place, and you know, just keeping up with trends and things like that.
I know Tamiya changed their XF62 a while back, olive drab. It used to be a really nice olive drab, and now they've changed it to an olive drab.
A different version of olive drab.
Yeah, the original one was classic, real. But I mean, it's one of the things that, what colour is olive drab? Because
yeah, as we know, it depends on everything, isn't it?
Yeah, but the original one was a nice dark sort of like olive drab, and sort of they changed it a bit. But yeah, and I used to have both of them. You could tell the difference between both bottles. But yeah, but not the only ones.
Yes. So I'm doing something on the side here. I'm just desperately looking for something at the same time. Hold on. Right, so David says, Phil, just watching a live stream of the Apollo 11 build in preparation of the movie Grote build Capricorn 1. You say at the start of the live stream that you intend to put it up as a separate build but can't find it anywhere. Did you change it? No, it is. If you go over to the, if you go into video builds, and obviously the top ones are always the pinned ones, and you can get over to various things and the live stuff, but somewhere in here is the build. It will be. So if you just have to look, if you do a search, which would probably been far smarter of me to do, but down in here, oh there it is, it's there. So this is our Apollo 11 special. You might remember we did a live build in real time. Sorry, that's the back of it. Hold on, where are we? So I want to go to the front page. We did a real-time build from the second it took off to the time it landed. I built what I thought was truly Rebels Con. But yeah, that's all the parts, but we did it all as a full live one during the day. And there it is, all in its fully. And obviously all the research stuff that we were using for it as well, that's all in here and everything else. So you can go through and you can see all about that one down in there. And all your great work you guys have posted up with it as well. It's all down in here. I think we've got lots of stuff, and as I say, I think it's on this last page was the final build, which I think I probably need to move across. Where are we? That's all of those. That's all down. Sorry, great photos from you guys of putting up all the stuff. It's Atlantis. There's Saturn 5. There's a hand. Oh no, perhaps it's not there. And that's a bit. Look at that. Cool. So yeah, that's it. It is in there. So you can go off and find it all in there. It's not out on the main site because it's so disjointed because it was a live show. So it's a little bit all over the place with all of that one. Oh look, Andy's got his paint. Hold on. There we go. See? Identical to a colourblind person.
They're both XF62s, Tamiyas.
That's very brown on the right, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nice brown. I don't know. I think that's the original one.
See,
and that's the newer one, I believe.
I used to prefer olive drab, XF62. Sorry, I used to prefer, what was the other one? Was it khaki drab or whatever it was?
Yeah, they do a khaki.
They did a khaki drab. I used to use that a lot of the time because I preferred that over the olive drab because it looks like a more worn one. Can't see it now.
Yeah, but olive green as well.
Yes. Just
yeah.
Now I've got so many gaps in my paint range. I need to restock.
So like I say, it's not only Vallejo that do change the colours.
No, they all have a habit of it, and obviously they extend it and all stuff like that as well. So yeah, one of those things. Okay, Patrick says, hi team, I want to try my hand at a resin garage kit for the next group build. Now I have 3 options available in my stash. The issue is, of course, that they're figures, so they won't be an exact match to the actress in the movie. But how far can it be off? Again, I'm not being funny. If I was painting them, it wouldn't even look like a human. So I wouldn't worry so much about you painting to an actress. Again, as long as it is in the spirit of. So obviously you've got some ones here. So obviously Wonder Woman. But then again, it depends on obviously the one, isn't it? It doesn't look much like the Wonder Woman that's the modern films. What's her name? The lovely lady, I can't remember her name.
Gal Gadot.
Is it? Trust you to know, John.
Oh, yes, I know that one.
Okay. Well, we've got that one, which I must admit, it looks like it's got Spyro with her.
Who's that supposed to be?
I don't know. It's obviously something else from something I don't know. Clearly, not in the loop. But it looks like Spyro's having a bad day. Anyway, or we got Supergirl.
Manga stylish, aren't they?
Yeah. Again, you're looking in real grey places, everyone, at the moment. I don't know. Nathan, make a decision.
I mean, I'd be. Yeah, why not? I mean, I think we can all see what it's trying to do.
Yes.
It's fine. It's essential.
Again, I'll help out here a little bit, throw him under the bus. But you're in the spirit of it. So if you used to put up Supergirl, to be honest with you, it probably wouldn't look like Supergirl if I painted it, so it wouldn't be the problem. And again, if you were doing, superheroes in general, trying to make an accurate, look of the actual actress that took part, you would have skills far, far superior to anything I could ever do. So I'm not one to comment on this. So as long as you put up there that it is Wonder Woman, if it is, obviously Supergirl, and it is Spyro's friend, then that would count. I'd have no problem with any of that at all. Because we know roughly what you're getting at, if that makes sense.
Kitty Pryde.
Who?
Kitty Pryde. She's a Marvel superhero action person
she?
Who was in X-Men, and I think she's got her own film by the looks of it.
Oh, is it? Have I missed that one then? Did she have a dragon?
I don't know.
It's like Spyro.
Kitty Pryde from X-Men.
I was going to say, I don't remember. Well, I
don't
thought I knew,
remember that.
but
Oh no,
not.
she's going to have a solo movie.
Oh, she's going to have one. Hold on, we're getting very grey with that area. I'd stick with Wonder Woman and Supergirl.
Yeah, but I believe she is in X-Men as well. So.
But again, does she have a full part? Or is she like one in the background?
The Wonder Woman one is the closest. The Supergirl's all right. I mean, the manga-esque.
I mean, I've got pictures up of her in the film, and I do recognise her, but
so this is
in the film,
an element of faith, isn't it? Because there's no way between like the 4 or 5 of us we've seen all these films.
No, that's it.
So yeah, I think that's fine. I think again, it's just the spirit.
It is, as long as you're in the spirit.
It's like the Wallace and Gromit one is in the spirit of the build,
Yes.
definitely.
Right, okay. Simon says, for the last group build, is there an amount of time in which the vehicle has to be shown in the movie? I think we've covered that, haven't we? We don't need to talk about that anymore. We spoke about that earlier. Okay, Kenny says, hello team. I've just ordered my first couple of bottles of Tamiya lacquer paints. And the plan to order some Hataka lacquers when the PM store resumes selling them. Have we stopped? As far
we're
as I'm
still
aware.
selling her tackle lacquers, you're just not selling the sets.
Yeah, we're not doing sets anymore, but we are doing single bottles.
You can buy everything that's in the sets as single bottles.
Yes.
Just for some reason the sets keep leaking, so just buy the single bottles.
Just buy single bottles, yeah. Okay, I have ordered. I haven't ordered any thinners yet. Is there one that will work on both, or do I have to have some Mr. Colour leveling thinners? But not sure if. Well, there you go. I'm not sure if this is even for lacquer paint. Yeah. Okay. So as Andy is holding up there, and we've got them all down behind me as well. Basically, you just want a lacquer paint. You're dealing with lacquer paint, you need lacquer thinners to go with it. The 400, like you've got there, is just the size of the bottle, so don't know any notice about the 400. It just happens to be 400 ml. Okay, they do a 250 bottle as well, don't they? I think, Andy, or is it a 200, something like that?
Yeah, I think it's 250.
Yeah, something like that, in a glass one. But anyway, the 400 is the way to go. And then obviously you've got Rapid, which you probably don't want if you want a glossy finish. It does dry very flat. But then you've obviously got your normal version, and then obviously, as Andy's got there, which is the one we all tend to use, to be honest, because we've all got it here, is the levelling thinner. But again, lacquer paints, you need lacquer thinners. If you're dealing with acrylics, use acrylics. You know, if you're dealing with Tamiya acrylic range, as long as it's got a fiery symbol on it, all of those will be lacquer thinnable as well.
There, Mr. Colours, Tamiya's, and that's the levelling one, isn't it?
This
Tamiya's,
is the levelling
and
version of
also
Tamiya's.
Hitaka's own lacquer thinners.
Yeah.
The thing is, all of those cost about the same price.
Yes.
So which one would you buy?
Yeah, absolutely. For cost effective, obviously the 400 mil is a lot better. That's what we always said.
The only good thing about the Attacker is it seems to be very refined and not very powerful, but it hardly smells of anything.
Yeah, it's very low odour. It's not as smelly as the others.
No.
Anyway, after base coating with lacquers, is it okay to detail paint with Tamiya or Vallejo acrylics and gloss coat over the top of the lacquers? Is it okay to use Vallejo and Tamiya acrylics or Johnson's clear? Sorry for this answer before. Promise I'll listen closely tonight. No problem, Kenny. Once your paint is completely dried, and that's lacquers doesn't take as long obviously as acrylics, you'll be fine. You can just overcoat with whatever you like. So like for honest, on here I've done a bit of a montage of everything. So you've got enamel paint, because technically the metal coat, when it's completely dry, I've actually done the walk strips, that's in lacquer, and then we've actually done the green is actually in acrylic. So you can go over the top, and I will go over the top again because we've got other hand painting to do and various things on that once they are completely dry. So as long as they've had a good sort of, give them 24 hours to totally dry off, you can overcoat them and you won't have a problem.
The Tornado was Hitaka lacquer,
Yeah.
brush coated with Future. But like I said, leave it, let it all gas off.
Yeah.
You know, I tend to leave a day between it. But yeah, the Hitaka lacquers are really nice to spray.
Yeah, they do go down very well. Once you've been with lacquers, Kenny, you won't go back to acrylics, I can promise you that. Okay, David says, greetings from Western Oregon, USA. I'm currently in a funk, okay, when it comes to building models. I just cannot find a way to become motivated to get back to the modelling bench. I would imagine this happens to all of us from time to time. What useful tips and suggestions do you guys have for getting back into building kits?
I remember once somebody asked, how do you re-find your mojo?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I go through looking through every single box I've got in my stash, and then somewhere in one of them boxes I'll find my mojo.
Yeah.
It'll be hiding somewhere, but it'll be in one of them boxes. Just go and start another kit and just something that's interests you, something simple, a Tamiya, whatever, something that's simple, something easy, straight out of the box. Don't worry about any aftermarket, just go for it.
And to be honest, that's what I always say to everyone. At the end of the day, just keep it as simple and as straightforward as you can. So if you have got something like a nice Tamiya kit, you know, something you know is going to go together, you know is not going to give you any hassles, and don't overcomplicate it. Keep it, and to be honest, I've been using it, I've noticed when I'm doing my editing, it seems to be my keyword with both of these kits, about not overcomplicating anything. Keep it as simple as possible, okay? Whilst don't make work for yourself, don't do things that are going to involve stuff later on, okay? So just keep it as plain as simple as right the way through, and that's probably why I haven't had a problem working on two big kits at the time at once. Normally it's a nightmare. I've got two big ones on the go, it's a pain, and that thing technically should be a right nightmare, but it's not. And again, I'm just trying to keep it as simple as you possibly can all the way through. Also, motivate yourself with what you're building by doing a little bit of research. So sometimes that might involve sitting on YouTube. So if you're working on, let's say you're doing a plane and you're doing F-16, watch some videos on F-16s. And we're not talking about films, because, you know, that can be a little bit couple of minutes and it's over. But there's some fantastic stuff out there with documentaries. To be honest, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I saw a fantastic one of a lovely lady who is an ex F-15C pilot who did a cockpit walkthrough. So she sat there in the cockpit of an F-15, and a lot of you probably won't have seen that type of cockpit before because she's in the new modern one with a pad. It's literally like an iPad in there as well, where it's had the upgrade and the other things. And she doesn't go into details about those because obviously they're clearly classified, but she talks about all the little switches inside there and what they do and the various things into it. But she explains it really, really well to it. And to be honest, I watched it coming off thinking, can't wait to get my big F-16 and my F-15 because we're doing a pre-order with one at the moment, and that was it. I was sold because I'm looking at it. You've got clips of it flying and all the rest of it, and that really motivated me to do it. But to find something where somebody's talking about the aircraft, explaining it, things like that. I know John watches them as well, but we watch the fighter pilot podcasts. Yeah. So if you're into aircraft, you do that. But there's loads of stuff on every genre out there. So if you're into cars, watch things about the cars, and then obviously you get a little bit, what, I'd like to do one of those. Then you get sort of in depth with it and have those on whilst you're building it as well, and you'd be surprised how quickly things go along, but don't get bogged down with thinking, well, I better add some aftermarket, because I always do. Just build something out of the box, use the kit decals for it, and just standard paint scheme, perhaps not even much weathering onto it, maybe just a simple wash or something else, so you've got something that's come together really, really quickly. Then you can move on to big detail projects or scratch building and various things to afterwards. But it's a good way of getting your mojo back and to get the old creative juices flowing as well, and getting involved with it. And I think that's probably the best thing you can do.
I'm looking at what David's got on the bench. He's got a Tamiya 48 scale Tomcat, a Hobby Boss, a Thunderjet's been completed, and Ryefield models are next up. Maybe try something simple.
Yeah, they're all big builds, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all big builds. They're intense builds. Maybe if a build's killed your mojo, like this blooming F-16 nearly did, I'd box it up for 2 months, put it away.
Yeah.
Come back to it. Just leave it alone. And this little thing here was built in 2 days. And I'm going down the rabbit hole with the weather in a bit, but this has been a nice break. And these things is in the States. I reckon this will be about $12, $13.
Mm-hmm.
Dead cheap, goes together dead quick, and you can. That's good for the mojo because it progresses quickly. And I think sometimes the mojo gets hammered by you're just on the loop, aren't you?
Yeah, if you're on that treadmill of like sanding and filling, and you're not happy with a particular part of the build as well, and you'll keep looking back at it and thinking, I need to redo it at some point. And the classic is, and for you guys that are following along with this build at the moment with this thing, one of the biggest things I've said all the way through is that I apologise for it not being accurate, because all right, I've redone the front end, which actually, to be honest, I'm really happy with. It's turned out fantastic. But there's lots of errors on this kit, but I'm not going to fix them, because if I did, I'd be here forever, and literally I would lose the will to live on this particular kit. So I've gone and said, right, okay, I've done everything that I think it'll be okay. From 3 foot away, it'll look the part. It's not going to win any awards. It's not nice. It's not pretty, but it's done what I wanted it to do, and it's to a standard where I'm happy with it. Would I, if it was commission? No, I would never give it up if it was a commission, because I'd be embarrassed to do it as a commission. But from what we're doing here and what the reasons explaining it, and we talked a lot obviously about sanding and filling and problems with kits and how to deal with things. We spoke about obviously adding detail, and obviously we'd be talking a lot about weathering and stuff like this one as well to hide a lot of these things. It's invaluable. It's great for that. But it's one of those where it's not ever going to win an award. It's not a nice kit, but it is what you've got. They're the cards you've got. You just play with what to your strengths you can with it in the allotted amount of time, and that's the other thing as well. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't want to mess around with this kit any longer than it's having anyway, because I literally would just lose interest in it. And as soon as you lose interest in it, the luxury is you guys can put it down. I don't have that luxury, because I'll soon be called out by everyone saying, why are you not doing the VC10? you know, but it's quite nice having something else on the go. And this thing, to be honest, is a beautiful kit and it's going together beautifully, and I haven't really had a single issue with it so far. So from that point of view, it's quite nice having something that's pretty much going fine and something that's a nightmare, you know. So again, you can just balance the build. So if I'm having a bad day with that one goes to the side and we'll carry on with this one, you know, and then I'm feeling a little better, right, we'll tackle that problem, let's go for it, and you do it again. And that's just the balance. But having a few kits on the go, I don't think is a bad thing. You know, if you're getting bored with a kit and it's driving you mad, don't fight it. Put it on the shelf of doom. Leave it there for another day. Get something else out and get back into it.
A lot of it is a mental thing as well. Don't think that every kit that you're building has got to be competition standard. You know, just bung something together straight from the box.
Yeah.
Don't worry too much what it looks like at the end.
Yeah.
Just have fun building it.
And don't forget, like I always say with all of this, it's a hobby. The definition of a hobby is doing something you enjoy and you like, and you do it for relaxation and pleasure. If you're not getting it, honestly, take a break from it. Do something else, you know. And again, this is where the great thing about our hobby is you're not pigeonholed into building aircraft. You can then, as most of the group do, is like switch around and say, well, look, I'm going to have a go at doing a car. And perhaps you've never built a motorbike before and have a go at doing a motorbike. And you might be surprised yourself how much you're enjoying working on a different genre. Like, you know, recently over the last few years especially, I've done left and right field, everything from giant Mack trucks to, you know, various sci-fi stuff and all the stuff in between, where it is so varied in that. But again, it stretches the old grey matter to think about how you're going to approach a build, because obviously doing that, we did the big Kenworth truck, that was nothing like I've ever built before, purely because it's all big glossy things and it was immaculate and chrome and all of those. That's not me. I tend to weather and, you know, make things look horrible. But, you know, to think about it, getting the mindset into it is actually really pleasurable. And to be honest, off the back of that, I'd have built another truck straight after doing it. It's not like I built it and thought, God, that was horrible, because I really enjoyed it. The bike, as I say, doing the Tamiya bikes, they're beautiful kits. They fall together. There's a little bit of engineering with them, screws and springs and things. And it's really, really pleasurable to work on them. And, you know, again, gives you that great satisfaction once you've done it. Nice kit, really enjoyed it. Not normally something I do, but, you know, that's the whole point to it, and that's a nice thing. So, you know, if you're having a hard day doing aircraft, have a go at armour. If you haven't got, try a bike, try a car, try a ship, sci-fi, you know, the anime, Gundam, whatever it is. There's so many different genres out there to have a go at something else. Take your tool set and what you know and how you weather and you paint, use that to your strength on that particular kit you're working on, and then learn a few new techniques as well that perhaps are more that side of it as well that you don't normally do.
David says in chat that he's only completed one build since returning back from hobby after 30 odd years, and that completed one must be the Hobby Boss Thunderjet 1/32 scale, which is a big beast of a build to build for your first, complete for your first one back into the thing. And then now he's doing a Tamiya F14D. Again, it's maybe jumped in too deep too quick, and so maybe take a step back and, like we said, go for something simpler and just easier out box, quicker.
But yeah, Mojo is just one of those things. It's very easy to lose, but actually it's quite quick to get it back, you know, because you can start another kit, you know, and do it that way. And as you say, if you play something totally different, you might surprise yourself and get back into it. And then say, I don't, but I know loads of you have got your, you know, Shelf of Dooms and stuff like that. And that's why every now and again we do these one Shelf of Doom builds, like the COVID build and stuff like that, and it just gets them off the shelf, and some of them turn out absolutely fantastic, like Nathan's long-term build. Bit like Andy's as well shelf there he's got with a certain Buckeye on it, which he will tackle, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people come to this hobby for their mental health, and I've seen a lot of people damage their mental health with this hobby as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I picked up a phrase, I can't remember where I heard it, and he said, aim for excellence, not perfection. Because I think some modelers are so hard on themselves, and they set themselves targets, deadlines and standards, and make themselves quite unhappy. You don't meet it, and there's bits on this tank I'm not happy with, but I know no one else will notice.
No,
There's a bit down the back here that went a bit wrong, and now I've said it, people are going to look
We all
at
know
it.
it. Yeah. But again,
Well,
you know,
yeah.
like we were saying, the classic is this VC10. It's not going to win any awards even before I started on it. You know, so you know, from day one of starting on that, and the first time we took a razor saw to try and cut things off the sprue, you know, it was awful, and it's been awful all the way through. But actually, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, because it is that test. It's that thing where it's not going to beat me. I'll knock it into shape. It'll be fine. But it's time. So, you know, so talking about on the video today, which you'll see tomorrow, I was saying it's now had 6 coats of filler and sanding on it to get it where it's smooth and it's all the correct shape, and to get the blending back around the front end and stuff like that. And that's purely because every time I looked at it, I thought, I don't know, right. So here we go again, and out comes the filler, and we pat it a bit more, and we go back into it, and then you have to leave it a couple of days, and then we've been sanding it off, looking for shrinkage. We had a little bit of shrinkage, to be honest, down the back end here. It was a bit of a nightmare. So ended up again, I'm looking at it thinking, no one's going to see it. It's going to be on a display in flight about this height, so no one's going to actually be able to see under there. But again, it's staring at me, and before you know it, I've got one of my heavy duty, you know, just 100 grit sander and ripping the hell out of it. And then in goes the filler again, and you know, and again, it was just one of those where I wasn't happy with it. But because it wasn't priority, I was working on this one at that point. It was a case of, look, we put some filler on it, half an hour with it, then we'll leave it to one side, come back in next day, sanding, more sanding, getting in there then a bit more filler because I've overdone it, and then put it to one side, on with this. And actually it wasn't too bad, but if I just had that sat in front of me, it would probably driven me mad. It probably would have been out the window, but you guys won't let me do that, so never mind. Right, okay. Brian says, hi team. Several weeks ago, Phil said he was talking to Pramjet, who was working on a project he couldn't talk about, except the fact it had lots of glazing. Matt figured that it might be the Bristol Beaufort. I'm hoping it's a 1/48 scale Blenheim Mark IV, the long-nosed bomber. We don't know. Honestly, no, we don't, because we've tried this. We get Pramjet. When you guys are all off, we get the thumb screws out. I won't say waterboarding again because I got told off, but he won't talk. He's good.
He's very good, isn't he?
He's very good, is our Pramjet. And I've known him a lot of years now, and he still won't tell me. So he's very loyal.
That's what I'd hope for, would be the Burnham, because they bought out the Mark 1, didn't they? With the funny nose. And the Mark 4's the one with a nicer, longer, sleeker, like duckbill nose.
Yeah, looks
I
like
think
a
it's
whale
nice
shark.
yeah.
Tell you what, never play poker with these people from Airfix.
No, I tell you what, Airfix
like
are
this.
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they are
They're
very,
really
very good, I
at
must
not giving
admit.
stuff away.
It's all right, we'll get Pramjet back on, and then he can
But
talk to us about it.
The way the Mark 1 goes together, though, with the front end, it leads itself to having the Mark 4.
Yeah, but then there's a lot of kits out there that do it. We were talking about this one the other day, and a lot of people saying, I really wish they'd bring out the E version.
E, yeah, sorry.
The E with the glass. Well, obviously this kit is purely designed for it. It's all there. It just doesn't have the right nose on it, because obviously it comes with this version, which has actually got the chin turret being the F, but also the back end as well is all designed for it right the way through. So don't be, too surprised in a few years' time maybe that it doesn't come along. But then we said that about the Tamiya F16s, and they never did do a two-seater. So it's like, Anyway, Neil says, good evening team. I'd appreciate your opinion on which 1/48 scale Tamiya F16 box that allows you to build most variants from. It's not available anymore, is it? They've stopped it.
None of them let you do the two-seater.
Well, none of them let you do the two-seater. Yeah, you can't do any of the two-seat ones. Unfortunately, the one you want is the Bandit version, isn't it? It was the Aggressor one.
The Aggressor one, yeah, the black one. Got a moo cow on the front.
It's moo cow on the front with all the rest of it, which I haven't even got one now because some stupid reason I sold it. Which I can't believe I even sold it. That's because you guys tell me to sell my stash all the time.
It's a certain person who's not on tonight.
Yeah, certain person does. But I've got the Block 50 and I've got the 2532 version there. But the one you want, they've stopped it for some unknown reason. But yeah, if you get the Aggressor one, that's it.
I've got it in my stash, but
yeah, Andy, if you pay Andy enough money, you can have it.
No.
So yes, that's the one you definitely want, because that one you actually get both intakes, both nozzles for it, and obviously you get a few lumps and bumps, and you get the pods, the ACMI pods as well, where none of the others come with that. So you can pretty much build any version from it, which is quite nice. You need to get decals, but yes, bit of a problem with that one. Okay, so if we just whip through some of these, because there's a load of questions in here tonight. Dave says, hi all, good to see you're all well. Well, apart from Matt, who's dying. I've been working on the Tacom Jack Panther and haven't got to the point of decaling. Problem being, it's got a mad Zimmerit and where the decals go. Any advice on how to avoid silvering or the bad surface? Okay, also there are quite a lot of sprues to throw away. Is recycling, is it a recycle bin fodder? You can recycle sprue, because to be honest, mine is all out there tonight. It will go tomorrow. I got tons of it in here, so I had a clear out yesterday. As for Zimmerit, armour people,
It's on the Zimmerit, isn't it?
airbrush it on.
Yeah.
Or hand paint it on. You can get it to go on if you've got a really good softener like my alien blood stuff, that Ajima hypoallergenic stuff, whatever it is, that stuff will melt it in. It's literally alien blood, it will go in. The other thing as well you could use, try your traditional softeners and setters, see how you get on with them. If it doesn't work, try X20A, right? If that doesn't work, try Ajima. If that doesn't work, and again, this is one of those ones where, listen to what I say, okay, extra thin. Okay, now extra thin, you put it on, but you don't brush it. So literally you make one quick pass, don't touch it again, because it will melt it. But hopefully it melts it to your surface. Okay, but I would have it flat. So if you're doing perhaps on the side, make sure it's flat. If you go that way, it might go, ugh. But I've done it a lot of times, but it is just one pass with the brush over the surface, and then you just never touch it again, because it will make it so soft. If you touch it, it will just turn to glue. It just melts. But it does go down, and you can do it that way. And I use it a lot for instrument dials and stuff. You're supposed to let it drop. But again, if you flood it, it will just pool and melt, and it just goes horrible. But a quick thin coat, it will then just bed it in and do it that way.
I've had a similar one with the JU52.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, the decals won. They sat on the surface of the ridges, and I couldn't get them in. So what I ended up doing, to be honest, is just brush painting the recess, and that might have to be the way you ultimately go. I imagine it's the iron cross on the Zimmerit, isn't it? So it might be you might have to do a little bit of touching up with the brush, but
yes, again, it's one of those ones where, because it's curved and that airbrushing, you're going to get so much overspray around it, you're probably better off just trying to get in there with the brush and put it in. And the reality is, obviously, that's how it would have been done in the field as well. So
I was going to say, it probably wouldn't look perfect on the real thing anyway.
Yeah.
Once it's got a bit of dust and weathering over the top.
Yeah, to be honest, on my one, they actually had areas where it didn't have it. They actually had a patch where, because obviously they put the Zimmerit on. When I did my King Tiger, looking at all the reference stuff of it, it looked like they had put the Zimmerit on around the marking. And that's how they did. They didn't go over the marking. They sort of left it on the turret. So it had like a patch. So that's how I recreated it as well, and left an area for the decal to go on where it was. So, but yes. But as I say, I wouldn't worry about it. In reality, they would have put it on with a brush, and it would have been a bit of a mess anyway, I would have thought. Okay, evening chaps. Can you point me in the right direction of the exterior colour for the UH60L direct action penetrator? Crikey. The box art looks black to me. However, the instructions say dark grey. No, I think you'll find that's Hilo Drab, they call it. And the internet search says anything from Hilo Drab to grey black. Okay, classic example with this one. If you're thinking of Night Stalkers, they do theirs very, very dark. It's not a standard colour, so their stuff tends to be bordering on black. But if you go off to, hold on, I need to quickly just find a me. In fact, I don't think I've got a bloody thing on this. It would be better to go to PM. If you go to video builds and you have a look at my Night Stalker I did, which is this one. As I say, for some reason I've only got one photo because I did it all as videos. You can watch all of these, by the way, they're free to watch. Sorry, well, if you guys could see it, here it is. It isn't just the video section, you can see it down in here, but in here, I can't do it anymore. So what I actually did was I made like a custom colour and I gave it a metallic scrub, and then to be honest, this has just got pigments over the top of it. So we did the little bird here with it all in like that to give it that type of colour. But again, originally I tried it with MRP's Helo Drab and it's too brown. It needs to go darker. So I ended up going over it again with a little bit of black. I just thinned and then right the way over it and made my own sort of custom colour with it. Then we gave it a metallic scrub, so it's actually using dark iron just to give it that weighted metal look to it, and then we went over it with pigment, and that's just the dark sand, I think that is pigment right over it, internally and outside as well, just to give it a better type look. But yeah, it's one of those awkward colours because it's a bit like if you look at UK Apaches, when they weather they go darker, when they're new they're quite light colour. So John says FX K2 only has the basket stowed. Oh, can't do it then. Matchbox have them in the kit that has them deployed. I know the Matchbox done because I built it a couple of times. Hi team, isn't time on the chat? Hey, what? What's that for? Anyone know? Hi team. It's time on
first time on the chat.
Is it?
No, it's his first time posting.
Oh, first time on the chat. Oh, right, okay. So, welcome, Andy. Okay, okay. Hi, guys. I want to build the TBD-1 Devastator from the film Against the Sun for the action group build. The kit is the Great Wall Hobbies 48 scale Devastator. At Wake Island in 42. From what I saw in the film, the picture attached, there it is. Picture attached, the top colour is not the intermediate or sea blue. Oh, pass, now we're into realms. What colour do you see? I see XF19. Ooh.
That is, I've got the colour here somewhere.
Andy's an expert on this.
Work out because they've done colour grading, haven't they? Got a really strong cast.
I was going to say that looks like it's been it's a film one, not a real one anyway, is it? So it's artistic license in that one. It's all right, look, Andy's got some.
I think it should be what they call M495 light grey.
Yeah, that seems quite nice, yeah. Again, like we say, with all colours and stuff like that, you know, get it in the ballpark and weather it. That's all I do.
Yeah.
So if it looks right to you from what you're seeing on the screen, then that's absolutely fine. You know, if you're happy with the colour, then go with it. Go for with what you see and what you know, you basically, in your mind, what it looks like, not what everyone tells you. You know?
Yeah, it's... XF19 is probably not too, you wouldn't be far out in the ballpark with that, to be honest with you. But it's it's before 1942 they used just grey rather than the blues.
Yeah.
In US Navy aircraft. But say MRP do the colour.
Yeah. Fair enough. Cool. Very good. Well done, Andy. Chris says, quickie about the action groovy milkbird. Sorry, read what you said earlier. I'm getting paranoid now. That will you tell entrants if their entry is not valid at the start? I would hate to spend 6 months of the build to be found out disqualified at the end. This is what we're saying. If you think it's not in there, then it probably isn't. If you're worried about it yourself, then you're too far off. If you're sure, yeah, it's action film, no problem at all, then you'll be absolutely fine. Again, use your own common sense with this one, people. I'm not going to do a Boris where you can go out. Unless you can't go out, then you have to stay in. Unless you can't stay in and you need to go out. Okay?
Yeah, we've not...
All good?
Yeah.
That's my Boris impression. So yes, if you really are not sure, just shoot me a message and I'll go through them. It's fine. I'll tell you, because my word stands. Or just say I said it was fine, because I'll probably forget them by then. And I go, did I? Probably. Yeah, that's fine. That's what everyone normally does to me. Ask the other half. What have you got in your hand there, Nath?
We're not being crazy strict on it anyway, are we? Being quite.
No, that's it. Don't forget, it's supposed to be a bit of fun at the end of the day. You're supposed to be enjoying it.
See, Chris is doing the crop duster from North by Northwest, which we have said would be okay, haven't we?
There you go. Fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't worry about yours, Chris. We have
Yep.
already discussed it and at length, and 75% of the panel said yes. Don't think Phil was there at the
I
time.
was going to say, you never asked me, so I don't. Am I? So who was the other one who said no though? Because obviously I'm a pass because I wasn't privy to the conversation. But there you go. But look, honestly, that's the thing. Common sense, everybody. Just a bit of common sense. If you're 100% and you just haven't got a clue, then obviously message one of us or just message me, and I'll let you know. But chances are you will be fine. Okay. But say, just keep it within the boundaries of being realistic. Okay, Martin says, evening, which decal setting solution do you consider to be the best to use? I've used Ammo, MigFix and Set Liquid, but not really getting any decent results. To be honest with you, Micro Set and Sol are my go-to. That's what I use for pretty much everything. If I'm not getting anything from there, I'll use Tamiya's X20A, as in acrylic thinners. Okay, because that's got a bit more bite and roughly does the same thing. If I'm not getting anything, then I'll obviously use something really strong like the Ajima. I'm not a mass fan, to be honest, of the gun stuff, the Mr. Mark, Zeta and Souls and stuff. Don't really get on with them, but the others, that's my go-to ones. You guys, what do you use?
If I'm having
Deco stuff's good.
Deco stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I sometimes don't throw away your big one, because sometimes different decals want different decal softeners.
Absolutely. Again, the thing is, like we're just saying, Tamiya decals are notoriously thick. Okay, so they always take a little bit of beating down. And Micro Set and Sol doesn't really touch. It will do it, but not brilliantly. So you always need something with a bit more bite. Linden Hill decals, for instance, and extra decals work really, really well, I find, with Micro Industry Set and Sol. They just absolutely love it. Other stuff, Academy decals, classic example. Academy decals, I always use Tamiya X20A. Get on great with that. Just needs a little bit more bite than anything else.
My go-to's Set and Sol.
Yup.
Sometimes I'll use the Mr. Micro stuff.
Yeah.
Fair, I could never get on with this at all until Keith mentioned about putting a bit of retarder in it.
Mm-hmm.
Put a bit in a metal dish. Put a bit of flow improver in it, retarder, and it goes on real. Because I used to find it used to pull in beads.
Yeah, then you end
On
up
the
fish
surface.
eyes on it.
Yeah, but it goes down really well with a bit of retarder in it. And then if all fails, then good old.
Yeah.
Clear up.
Just honestly, I know we've mentioned using that a lot. If you've never done it before with it, just be mindful that stuff is lethal. It will melt decals. And if you're using it on Tamiya decals, like on a 32nd scale kit, just be really, because if you make a second pass, you will take the colour clean off. It will literally, you'll just end up with a load of colour on the brush. So it is literally one and done. Never go back to it. Even when it's dry, be careful because it will soften it.
Saying that, I X20A probably before that, and then if I got down to that, it'd be a last stage.
Yeah.
Each effect.
I
Where
just dab it on.
each effort where I was struggling with all else, but
But honestly,
Rare
just
user.
saying this out here, just if you've never done it before, just be mindful. It's lethal, absolutely lethal. It will work, but it's lethal. But the trouble is, you always have that penalty. Oh, I'll put a little bit more, and then you're like, just take all the colour off, and you've got a white stripe through your decal. So it's like, Okay, Graham says, if you're doing a metal aircraft with a coloured spine, say a Lightning F1, would you do the metal colour first and then mask the red spine? It's personal preference onto it. Again, this is a bit tricky because this is one of those areas where I don't have a problem, but I am acutely aware a lot of you do, because a lot of you have told me how you can't mask over AK. But I mask over the time, and I don't honestly have a problem with it. But I know loads of you have. I've had people recently, last couple of weeks, since we've been working on this, talking about it. They're saying about, look, every time I do it, it does this to me. I've had people where it's pulled the metal finish off. I've had people with like sticky tape marks, and yeah, it's horrible. But I don't have that problem, so it's very difficult for me to sort of go through it. But like I would say, if you wanted to, I always would say do the metal colour last if you're having any types of problem with it. So I would do the red, mask it completely, okay, then do all the metal colour, then unmask it, because again, if you're into one of these people who has trouble with metal colours, put the metal on last. Me, I put all the metal on, I've done everything over the top of it and been masking it, and as I say, I did all the walkways, as you can see it down on here today, hopefully you can see them a bit, all on this one, that was all masked, no problem at all. So, you know, you can see all about that on Monday, it'll be up on the Monday build with it.
This is another one of my work in progress.
Right, how old's that one?
It's a while old.
Right.
And I did the blue first, and then did masked it off, and I did silver afterwards. Knowing what I'm like with metal work and so it coming off, and then I brush painted the future on it, and then ended up cocking one of the wings up. So I rubbed it down to repaint it. I've never got around to redoing it.
Yeah.
It's a shame because it was coming out nice after that.
Thing is, if you go back through my lightning build as well, I got a feeling that I actually did the black afterwards, because it's easy to mask it as well, because you just run tape down the sides, and then I blew the black in afterwards, if I remember rightly. But say that's going back over 10 years ago. I did mine for that video build. There you go, another one for Andy to do at the end of the year.
Yeah.
With the Buccaneer, with the other one, what was it?
Buckeye.
The Buckeye, that's the one. Okay, John says, hi team, enjoying getting back to modelling. I've made a rookie mistake and scratched the canopy on my Revel ME109G6 while sanding. How would you fix the scratches? Sand them out, polish them out, be fine. Quality polisher. In fact, actually, watch tomorrow, because as you might have seen on this thing, we had to completely redo the canopy, so I sanded it all, and it was rough, you know, it's just gone, and then I polish it all up to being clear again, and I show it, which is, to be honest, I just go through the grit. So with this one, I just started off with quite a strong grit, where I think it was around about 200, and then we just back out of it. So then we come out of it and use a little bit of 320, and then we come along with a bit 120, then we go into the polishers, and then finally on the white side, and then got it clear, then masked it up, and then reprimed it. So that was actually be on tomorrow's show. So mid-morning, I'll post that up on the actual site, and you can watch and see how I do it. But that's how I get rid of it. If you want to get rid of any, stages after that, then consider dipping the canopy, because that will take care of any last scratches that you got into it as well. Obviously, I haven't got the luxury of doing it on that one because of how it is, but that's something I'll be thinking about. Perhaps when it is finished, just to hand gloss the windows, just to give them a little bit more clarity.
Could just point out, if your canopy's off your kit and you're doing it, make sure you put some white tack underneath.
Yeah, otherwise you might
Just
crack it.
Yeah, just hold it in shape, otherwise, yeah.
Chris says, hi Phil, if you was building the B-17 as a warbird, what metal colour would you use to paint her? In just reference to a video build, your metal work looks superb. To be honest, I quite like dark aluminium. Their dark aluminium's actually quite a nice one. I've got loads of it. I've used it on other various builds, if you look at any of my other metal builds. So I think, what was the other metal-y things I've done recently? I've done some things, can't remember what they were now. But we used actually the dark aluminium, because the dark aluminium I think looks like a worn aluminium colour. So it's a little bit darker, because I do find all of their aluminiums are either really shiny and too shiny. So if you just get normal aluminium, it looks really shiny. White aluminium and all of those. Polished aluminium obviously just looks like, I think, a really nice polished aluminium. But there's not a lot of difference between polished aluminium, white aluminium, and then obviously normal aluminium. They are very, very close. But then you go to dark aluminium and it looks a different shade completely. So that's where I would go for that one. Do much metal work, gang?
I'm completely build, but I use this paint to get, but where I've done like warm metal, I've used Tamiya enamels. So I've got XF16 and X11, and I'll flat coat them as well.
Yeah.
And that gives it that really sort of oxidized metal. It
Yeah.
works well for a smaller scale, I think. In 48 it might not work so well. But I'll flat coat these two, and they're slightly different finish. Two paints.
Yeah.
But I'll flat coat to give it that really oxidized metal look.
Yeah. John, what you got?
I think. Oh, go on, sorry. I think also, do you know, like we always sort of tend to go with a black underbase if we want like a nice shiny thing. But if you did a grey primer, it sort of like dulls it down a bit as well, doesn't it? So that you don't get that reflective look you do on silver.
You don't get the luster at all.
Yeah. If you want something,
if you just want silver. But again, if you were doing a warm B17, if you look at reference photos, and to be honest, I've studied thousands, they've still got a certain shine to them, that metal look. They look metal. Even the ones which obviously have been through the mill quite a bit, and they look quite worn and battered and everything else. They've still got that. It's not a silver look. It's more of an actual metallizer look to it and a metal look to it. But it clearly is darker. So I'd always say if you're doing anything to represent a metal surface and not a painted silver surface, and like we speak about it a lot about like a Mustang's wing, as we know, that's puttied and painted. Still looks fantastic and it's very glossy, but it's still a metallic silver versus a metal paint look or a metal polished part. So on this one, obviously the control surfaces being rag, as in they're fabric covered, then obviously I've done those in metallic paint versus not using any type of metallizer or aluminiums or anything else at all, just to give that type of colour. So yes. John, was you about to show?
Well, I've been doing a lot lately with the metal colours you probably can't see them very well because they're quite small, but it's the metally bits on the hindcall. But yeah, I've been using Guns GX2 as the base coat, and then using MRP metallics, and I'm getting quite happy with the results I'm getting. And things like the engine parts, spraying different tones over them, just to vary the colour. Yeah.
And again, the thing is, when you're doing B17s, different areas weather slightly differently. You always get that type of thing with them, where the fuselages always look a little bit more sort of heavily sort of worn and stuff. And obviously tops of the wings look different to the bottom of the wings as well, just from stuff that I've been looking at a lot of photos recently. Again, the trouble you have is that a lot of the World War II photos aren't colour. They're colour, whatever they do to make them colour afterwards, post-coloured or whatever it is. So you can always tell because the greens always look odd, but the metal looks quite nice. But it always, I think, again, even from my point of view, when you're filming it, you never get that real nice metal luster look to it because it just looks almost just silver on camera. And that's because the camera's having a hard time focusing on the depth, because obviously it's above and it's just looking down, and it doesn't matter if you lock the focus off or whatever it is, it just never gives it that proper luster. Catch it on the camera, on the angles and stuff, then you obviously get that look to it. But again, obviously photographs trying to show it have that same trouble as well, so it's always a little bit of a thing on that one. Colorized, that's it. Thank you. So yes. Okay, last question, because we're over. Watching on catch up. So someone may have already passed this on. Kit King have a Matchbox K2 on sale. Don't know if the K2 is the bomber or the tanker version. That'll be the tanker. Yeah, it's alright, but don't forget it's reboxed by Revell. Did a reboxing of it. So, and I think the reboxing is available. But I don't want to buy an entire kit for 2 baskets, seeing as Andy's being an expert and going to 3D print me some professional ones, and then they will be available on the PM site.
Let's see what they're all like first.
Yeah, it might take him a month to print it, but
on the chat, Alan says that he's got a spare Victor K2 kit.
Oh, is he? Can I pinch the baskets off of it if Andy doesn't come through?
Yeah, if you don't want the baskets, can you send them to Phil?
Just a couple more then, just as we got these here. Hi guys, great show. Can I ask what tank is Nathan building? Oh, is that where you had the kit in your hand? I did wonder. To get his creative juices going. He wants to try a coffee lid dio. Hold on, there we go. There it is. It's the Zvezda T3485.
They've got quite a few in their range as well. It's a snap tight kit.
Hmm.
But I've loved it. It's been brilliant. £9 from PM Models.
Yes.
I don't think that's the website for some reason at the moment.
Cool, very good. And last one is Neil. He's saying, just to let you know that he's found a 48 scale Tamiya Aggressor 1/16 from Hobbylink Japan. It was the last one in stock, and safe to say that it's no longer available. No problem, Neil. Enjoy that one. Good job. Cool. Very good. So, there we go. Crikey, what a show. Look, we're half an hour early. I've only just got through the questions. You guys are doing far too many questions. Can we cap it at 10? So yes, very good. Right. Anything else, gang? Any questions on chat or anything anyone's noticed?
Can I just quickly mention about the pre-orders for PM models?
Yes.
Get the plug in. Do the pre. What?
Get the plug in.
Yeah. Well, we put the pre-orders up on the forum. Obviously, they're a limited time, so get your pre-orders in. Once we close the pre-orders, that's it. We can't then accept any more people asking for pre-orders. The reason why we do the pre-orders is it's a special offer for you guys on the forum so that you can get a better deal, but also it gives us an idea of how many, or Matt an idea of how many to order in, and also for him to know that the suppliers know how many to order in, because a lot of them are kits that are coming in new into the country. We need to know how many to tell them that we want to buy. So if we start getting people saying, "Can I have one?" after it's closed, it just skews all the numbers, and we have problems. So once you see it's closed, please don't carry on asking for the kit in the thread.
Yes. You know, again, the big thing is with it, a lot of these kits that we've been getting in, they might be readily available also on the internet, but from a UK importer's point of view, they don't bring them in. It's not a stock item for whatever reasons. Okay, so that's why we've been getting them in. So I know I had a couple of people mention to me that the F-15 is available and it's out, and yeah, you can just go online and get them. But what we've done is obviously we order in cartonfuls direct from Japan to be brought in, and then obviously from that point of view we get them at a slightly reduced price, which obviously we pass on to you guys and various things to it. But yeah, so that's the reason whilst we do it this way. But turning around after we've closed it is a bit like after the horse has bolted, because we've already put the order in then and we know how many we got. Because
I don't want to lock the threads in case people then need to
follow up with different things. But
so then that causes more problems, and then emails or messages get sent and then they get missed, and we'll lose communication. So don't want to lock them, but just once it's closed, it's closed.
It is. Cool. Very good. Right, okay, well that's it. Don't forget, tomorrow I'll put it up in the morning at some point. You've got the next part of this, which I can't even remember what it is now. I think it's 5 or 6 or something else like that. And this little lady, she'll be up with you, which will roughly get it to this stage as we're making our way through with this one. So light is definitely at the end of the tunnel with that one. And then on Monday, obviously I'll put up the next part of the B-17, but also obviously on Saturday I'm travelling up to Doncaster. So I'll be up at stupid o'clock in the morning to get up there, spend the day, then coming back that evening as well. And I'll vlog it as well. So I'm going to take the camera, and Andy's got his special cam. Look, get your Wonder Cam out. Look, Andy's going to be cameraman. Look, we're all high tech, so he can follow us round and do his thing with his Wonder Cam and his lights and all his bits and pieces. So he's got far too many toys. So yes, so at least I'll be stable apparently. So anyway, so we're going to be up there. I'd say I'm going to bring back some of my models. I'm going to bring up the bombers. So obviously I'll do a show as well about hanging them up on the wall, because they're all going to go up on the wall, complete that one. I'm going to take some more up to the store as well. So, and all these kits as well, which will go back as well. So we'll get them up as well. So it will be a bit of a vlog from the morning, driving up there, talking to the gang up there and all the rest of it, and then make our way back. And I'll get that edited on Monday, and it will go up on Monday as well. as we make our way through. I'll be with you tomorrow afternoon for the catch-up show, so it's a recap of what's happened on this week, and obviously more of your great work from the gallery as well at the end of the show. So if you want to catch me for that one, it'll be up around about 5 o'clock as always. So if that's it, gang, we all done? We all good?
Yep.
Very good. Right, thank you very much for joining us, guys. Pleasure as always. Happy modelling. Stay safe. Take care, and we will see you all again very, very soon. Say good night, gentlemen. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.